Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. While I have been gone on Hawaii, okay, we have another video to fill in for my absence, okay? And this video is going to be us covering 6, and he just uploaded this video, just came out, and the video title is Explaining the Curse Mark. And to be honest, it's a really good video to make a Naruto video on, to be honest. Like, if I were to actually make an Naruto video on, this is a topic that I would be interested to go over, talk about all the points that's ever been talked and mentioned overall, and you name it. And overall, like, a lot of people don't really know too much about the curse mark, and it's kind of downplayed in my opinion. The curse mark is really goddamn powerful, and it's basically its own variation and way of acquiring like sage mode power in a sense, and it's a pretty big deal in Naruto. So especially for one of the characters that we all know, Sasuke. But we're gonna dive into this video. Enough talking on this on our side. It is about 15 minutes long, and we're gonna get into it and let's see what 6 has to say, and let's see, and if anything that kind of comes out that I'm like or I don't know about all that. Obviously, you know me, I'll be the first one to say something. I don't give a fuck who you are. But let's get it and let's do it.
As I mentioned in my breakdown of Sage Mode, eventually I would do one for the Curse Mark and its mid iterations throughout the series. Through my research, I actually found out the Curse Mark gets a lot more intricate and interesting than you get from a surface level watch through the anime
really
or
does.
through the manga. Its development, the people who use it and how, and even an argument as to why the Curse Mark is possibly a stronger use of Senjutsu than even the Sage Mode form it was inspired by. All things regarding the Curse Mark will be covered in this video. I'm going to stick to
I don't know about all that, but that's
information on this one, at least on the Naruto side of things, but we do get an interesting arc about the curse mark in the Boruto anime that I want to cover to some extent, so I'm going to include that as well as a ranking of all the curse mark users the same way I did at the tail end of my Sage Mode video. It'll be based on how well they can perform said power and or transformation, depending on what you want to call it, and not solely based on who can beat the other person in a fight, as I think not only is that blatantly obvious, but pretty boring.
Yeah.
One last thing before we get directly into the video, if you're new here or maybe this is your second time watching one of my videos, be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video as it helps the channel out a lot and I really do appreciate it. But let's get started.
Ready to subscribe? Then I will like if it's a good video.
We have to get an example of what it actually is and how it's distinct from Jugo's clan and their Kekkei Genkai. The Kekkei Genkai of Jugo's clan gives them the ability to tap into and control natural energy sources, but in doing so, they sort of lose their sense of self, but in return they get extremely powerful. Jugo himself seems to be able to subside this a little bit after Sasuke sort of tames him, and when he goes into his full curse transformation state, although he is wild and much more powerful, he can direct it at the enemy and know who is and isn't his teammates. This is in direct contrast to the schizophrenic-like state Sasuke and the rest of the team had found him in when they originally went to Orochimaru's hideout he was located at, which is actually a pretty underrated part about how connected.
I'm gonna say this a little bit off topic, but I love the quality and the amount of attention to detail and just like how decorative it is and just everything. Like, you can clearly tell there was a lot of time and effort put into this video. It looks amazing. Like, shout out to 6, bro. Like, if you were even ever gonna watch this video or not, fucking great job. Great job. Like, incredible quality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've seen a lot of Naruto videos of people just having a commentary and providing their thoughts or talking about a topic or a versus battle, whatever the case may be. And it's the general same type of shit you see. You know what I mean? Even Swag and Seth and you name it. But 6, he's doing something like that's a little different in the way he kind of constructs his videos and how he shows everything. It really is unique. I don't know about you guys. It stands out to me at the very least. And I feel like he deserves a lot more credit than people give him. So, anyway, let's continue.
Feels to Sasuke and Kimimaro. Their literal presence is enough to temporarily cure a mental illness as severe as schizophrenia for Jugo. Anyway, to get back on track to the original point, the original curse transformation Kekkei Genkai would cause you to go insane when tapping into the power. Orochimaru took note of this, and according to Kabuto, he then tried to find the source of that power, which originally led him to Ryoji Cave. Rereading this, I was a bit shocked because I was originally under the belief that Orochimaru found Ryoji Cave, couldn't acquire Sage Mode, so he developed the curse mark, but then after finding this out, I realized that this interpretation never really made sense in the first place. If Orochimaru
Interesting, because that's what I was kind of on the same basis of.
Developed the curse mark to make up for his lack of sage mode, it never really made sense to me as to why he never got one himself. It's just another weird misconception put into the Naruto community that just wasn't true in the end. That previous misconception is the entire reason for believing that the curse mark is inferior to sage mode, which is an argument that needs a bit more explaining, but now that we've gone over the distinction between it and Jugo's clan's Kekkei Genkai, we can start talking about what the curse mark actually is and how it works. The way you get a curse mark is by having Orochimaru, Danzo, and possibly Kabuto as well.
Here comes an ad. Applebee's.
Giving you one. There is no outright statement or showing of Kabuto being able to get
God, I'm gonna be real with you guys. This is like a little bit more off topic. Sage Kabuto was a fucking beast, bro. That man was just ridiculous. Like, I kid you not, in my opinion, deserves like a video like that I eventually will make in due time. You know what I mean? Of like just how crazy powerful he was. Like, he is no goddamn joke. Like, he's fucking strong. Like, the shit he can do, like, it's just insane. And like I think I even stated this before. Like, if he was to fight against Sage Mode Naruto, without a doubt, he would beat him. And like, I'm sorry, I still stand with that. Obviously, you know, when I do more homework and research on that, you know, then I'll let you really know what I still decide on that. But, you know, he's just built different. And just, like, the design of it, what he can do, like, it's just fucking insane. Like, Sage Kabuto is no goddamn joke. And eventually, you know, I am going to discuss, like, you know, and have, like, a video of, like, all Sage Mode users kind of fighting each other and who would win and blah, blah. Now, obviously, you know, like, if we're really considering all of them, you know, Sage Kabuto, he ain't on the level like Sage Hashirama or Sage Six Path Naruto. You know, come on now. But, you know, if we were gonna be talking about all the Sage users, you know, it'd be Naruto, Jiraiya, Kabuto, you know, things like that. Just kind of keep it in the fair ballpark. I'll include the other users as well. But, you know, come on now. It's common sense. The scaling's not rocket science. You know, and if I'm really feeling it, you know what I mean? If the video is not too long, or if it wouldn't be too long by having this being discussed as well, shit, I might even throw in some curse mark users in there and to kind of, you know, throw it in and be like, all right, who wins now and what, and, you know, you name it. So, but anyways, you know, regardless of all that, Sage Kabuto, he's very underrated. Really, really cool character.
Curse mark to another person. I'm just saying he possesses all of the same things Orochimaru did to give them, as well as knowledge of them. The curse marks are Orochimaru's Senjutsu chakra, which Kabuto has, so he should be able to get one, but again, I don't really know. Curse marks can do different things, which is why I placed Danzo here. Danzo puts a curse mark on the tongue of every member of Root to keep them from speaking about him. Likely due to all of the sneaky things he does, like having Sai contact Orochimaru for him, or his secret plan to go after Naruto. The way the mark works is that if any member of the Root is to speak about Danzo, they will start to fall asleep. Danzo also displayed a curse mark in his fight with Sasuke that he placed on Sasuke's neck and eventually left Sasuke in a paralyzed state. This curse mark seems to take a little while to come into effect, considering Sasuke was able to play out a full genjutsu, and Danzo could pull off an Izanami and resurrect in between when he placed it and when it actually started.
Basically similar to when like Orochimaru bites your neck, you know what I mean? Like, and he can just paralyze you. Same shit, but see, Orochimaru is instantaneously. Danzo, it takes a hot minute.
I guess that is dependent on whether or not you think it's a timing thing or if Danzo just waited a little while before activating it himself. But considering he was just under genjutsu when it did activate, I highly doubt he did it himself. Sasuke did eventually overpower this curse mark through evolving his Susanoo, which I guess you could say makes it pretty strong, but literally anyone stronger than Sasuke at this point, whoever you think that is, probably could just flex out of this curse mark, rendering it 100% useless. It's debatable if this last one is a curse mark or not, because Obito describes it as a reverse tetragram sealing jutsu, but it kind of resembles a curse mark, so I thought I'd mention it. But it's Danzo's final desperate attack that he uses to unalive himself at the end of his battle with Sasuke. Now, moving on to Orochimaru's curse mark, we have official names for only two of these, that being the Heaven Seal and the Earth Seal. The Earth Seal is the one given to Kimimaro, and the Heaven Seal is the one given to both Sasuke and Anko. I often hear people say that Sasuke and Kimimaro are stated to have the best curse marks that Orochimaru can offer, but this is unironically never stated. It's just sort of implied by a statement from Kabuto that goes as follows whenever he's talking to Kimimaro. He's been
Okay.
granted the rival counterpart to your own Earth curse mark. So we do get that these two are virtually equal since they are rival counterparts of one another, but to find out if these are the strongest, we have to rationalize it in some way. So let's take a look at a few things. 1. Orochimaru knows Sasuke wants power. 2.
Yeah.
Orochimaru wants Sasuke's body. 3.
Yeah.
Orochimaru wants Sasuke to come to him of his own will, not to kidnap him. Then the conclusion would follow that Orochimaru would give Sasuke the strongest curse mark he can, so that Sasuke can see Orochimaru can give him power and then come to him of his own free will. You can say that he gave
that's a fair accusation, and you know, I mean, it's not like too out of the ballpark or too unreasonable in my opinion. You know, that's fair because if you think about it, you know, Orochimaru, he's not a ding dong. You know, like, you know, if he wants the person's body and wants to, you know, obtain his level of power and you name it, why would he give him a weak fucking curse mark or the weakest one? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it make sense for him to give the strongest one? You know what I mean? Like, come on now. So yeah, that's a fair, you know,
one to Kimimaro, who is a loyal
claim.
servant of his and his dream vessel through which he can get stronger. I think now would be a good time to correct the mistake I made.
And he also did that with Kimimaro too. I mean, it's not like he gave that like he gave the Earth Seal curse mark to Kimimaro, and you know what I mean, and wanted his body on, because originally he never wanted Sasuke or anybody else. He wanted Kimimaro. Like, he was like, oh no, that man's about it. You know, like, I need him, and he gave him not an Earth but the heavens. So it makes sense, you know.
Reasoning back in my literal very first video, Team 7 versus Team 7, in which I incorrectly stated that Tsutomu
No, get the fuck out of here. I got time for your shit.
Sasuke scaled to a sick Kimimaro based on a Kabuto statement. The statement would sound weird if I quoted it directly. It'd sound like I'm doing some strange Kabuto roleplay. So I'll just make sure the page is on screen for everyone to read themselves. The part I got wrong is at the tail end of the page here, where Kabuto asks Kimimaro if he's ever wondered who was stronger between him and Sasuke. I mistakenly took this as Kabuto asking this question to himself and wondering which one of them two is stronger. If we move on from the direct two strongest curse marks into some of the lower ones, the things surrounding them get kind of interesting. The bodies of everyone we see with the curse mark all obviously become grotesque when entering the ascendant stage or curse mark 2. The features gained don't seem to add any real benefit to your combat ability. In fact, the only person that gains a boost in combat ability directly from his transformation is Sasuke, who gains the ability to fly via his wings. Most of the lower stage curse mark users don't offer anything in terms of uniqueness other than the fact that their curse marks all have different patterns and their CM2 forms all look different. You can maybe argue a difference in terms of quality of an amp, since Jirobo, Sakon, and Yukon all state different qualities in terms of what they actually get from their curse stage 2 form. Jirobo's is the infamous statement of gaining 10 times the strength he was before, but Sakon and Yukon say that they have received 10 times their normal chakra level, which, as everyone should know, 10 times your own chakra amount shouldn't cause a 10 times increase in all your stats, because you need to be able to output 10 times the chakra you do in your base form. So while Sakon and Yukon clearly get much stronger in their Curse Mark 2 stage, arguing gets as high as Jirobo's amp is nigh impossible with the information given to us in the manga. Just for further elaboration, it's stated Jirobo is the weakest of the Sound 4, so I'm not trying to imply that Jirobo is stronger than Sakon and Yukon, just that he may have a higher quality amp due to getting directly 10 times stronger as opposed to a questionable 10 times. So if we lowball Sakon and Yukon for the sake of the argument and say their curse mark is a 2 times amp to strength and in base they are a 25, so they go up to a 50, Jirobo would have to be somewhere below a 5 in base form, since he's getting 10 times stronger, would have to stay below Sakon or Yukon. That was a fairly long-winded explanation. I probably didn't need to go that in depth, but I want to make sure you all understand me, and like I said earlier, I think this is an interesting part of the lower stage curse mark users. When determining how the Heaven and Earth seal that Kimimaro and Sasuke possess surpass the other ones, in my opinion, is very simple. I think it should allow both amps to coexist in their curse marks, but possibly to an even higher degree. The need for quantification is non-existent.
So, you know, overall, from what I've gotten from what he said so far, you know, like, definitely correct. I do remember that being a statement that the curse mark, you know, like in the second stage gives you like a 10 power, like increase, you know, 10 times the amount of power. Now, I didn't recall or remember the whole thing that they were talking about with Sakon, where it's like 10 times more chakra. So that's really interesting. You know, and obviously, you know, the more chakra you have, the more powerful, faster jutsus, you know, you name it. It all gets amplified, basically. So that is interesting too. But overall, it's kind of like the same premises, you know, like 10 times the increase of power or chakra or whatever, and they all have like their unique, you know, separate transformations too to complement their abilities. But yeah, you know, like for the most part, it's correct. That makes a lot of sense, and you know, and overall, that's just basically that. So, yeah. So let's get back into it.
Here, we just know these curse marks are going to have a better amp than the other ones. Whether Sasuke and Kimimaro get 10.1 times stronger and more chakra, or they get 100 times more chakra and stronger, it's all the same in that they get a higher quality amp than the other users. 10 times
True.
more chakra would obviously help with things like stamina issues, and the
Yep.
benefit of power is self-explanatory. But a question I really couldn't get an answer to is if the curse mark gives you 10 times the chakra you currently have, or if when activated, the curse mark gives you 10 times your normal chakra amount. Regardless, this is obviously a huge help. The last bit of information about
I don't know what we kind of can infer from that, because think about it. You know, how, like with Sasuke, he can only do like what, like fucking 2 Shidoris, right? And then when he went to do the third one, which Kakashi highly recommended, like do not do. You know that he had like the CM1 stage, like he had like that curse mark, and he was able to do a Shidori. So clearly implying that it does give you chakra. You know what I mean? So I don't think it you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's relevant of whether of like if it affects, you know, from how much you have right off the bat, you know, and that's how it affects how much you can get, or if it's just the same amount period no matter what state of your chakra is. But you know, when we think back to that moment, he didn't have any more chakra to be able to do another Shidori, but he utilizes the curse mark to be able to do a third Shidori. So from my understanding, and like I said, I would have to look back and really get in, you know, get into it with the whole curse mark side of things. From my understanding, it does seem that like when you do activate the curse mark, it gives you, you know, a power boost and chakra and all that, and it gives it enough to where you can be able to, you know, still do things if you have stamina issues or low on chakra or whatever, you know, or you wouldn't have enough chakra to do that jutsu that requires a certain amount, you know, and curse marks like, here you go, I got you, bro, you know. So we've seen it, you know, we've seen it with Sasuke. So that's the only thing I'll put out there. But other than that, let's continue.
curse mark comes from the Boruto anime, but the Boruto anime's canonicity is heavily questioned most of the time due to the vague statements that imply it. Which
I've heard so much. I've heard so much craziness with Boruto, dude. Like it's crazy. Like if you think like it's annoying when people try to pull like non-canon, not, you know, arguments and whatnot when it comes to Naruto, which literally like it's just so fucking dumb because most of anything we have with Naruto is canon and it's like all connects and it's all the same narrative and same concepts and it's just, you know, the same shit and it's Kishimoto supervising, approving, you name it, you know what I mean? But then Boruto, on the other hand, that shit is understandable. It's just all over the fucking place from what I've heard, some things I have seen, you know what I mean? Like, so he's not wrong with that, you know what I mean? So I could only imagine.
Detail on, considering it would cause me to spiral wildly off topic. So for the sake of the video, just take it as the Boruto anime is a separate canon to the manga, considering the differences between the two. And to name a few, Sarada vs. Boro has a 3-tomo Sharingan in the manga and a 2-tomo Sharingan in the anime. In the manga, Momoshiki never has a taijutsu exchange with both Naruto and Sasuke at the same time, and the fight is a lot shorter. The way Naruto enters Baryon mode is also a lot different, where in the manga he kicks Ishiki off of Boruto in base form, then him and Kurama transform, but in the anime he's trapped underneath Ishiki's cube, punctured by multiple rods, and he flies in to save Boruto whilst he's already in Baryon mode. All this may not even be too important. I mean, after all, the only thing really explained about the curse mark is a hyperbolic statement from the villain of the arc saying that it has infinite power and potential. I don't think I need to explain why this statement is hyperbolic. All of you are extremely smart and I trust you to figure that out on your own. That's kind of all I had to say about the curse mark, so I guess we can get directly into the ranking of
pretty crazy statement.
We'll define a better user as actually being stated to have greater skill with the curse mark, or being shown to have little to no negative effects when using it. One last thing I forgot to mention earlier in the video, the curse mark can actually cause you over time to slowly lose your sanity and go insane, but
True.
other than that, we can get right back on to what I was talking about earlier. We'll include Jugo and Kabuto in this list as honorable mentions, and I'll explain where they will go a bit further into the video. So bottom of the barrel tier is Anko from part 1. As far as we know, she was never even able to use stage 1 of the curse mark, and all it was a burden on her. So when it comes to using the curse mark, she is without a doubt the worst at it. Although I suppose you could say Anko never wanted to rely on the power Orochimaru gave her. That isn't really a fair argument in my own opinion, since Anko still uses her snake techniques which Orochimaru literally taught her, but you know, up to your own interpretation. Next we have all of the grunts at the northern hideout that all succumbed to their curse mark and lost their sense of self. According to nameless character number 3 on the road
Poor
to the
Anko,
northern
though.
hideout, while almost dying, tells Sasuke, Karin, and Suigetsu that once word broke out Orochimaru had died, all of his prisoners went berserk. One of these guys was able to keep their mind intact, but he's swiftly dealt with by Sasuke without even using his Sharingan. We learn when we get to the northern hideout that all the prisoners had killed all the wardens and that they were all in their second state of the curse mark, and their minds had eroded to the point that they could no longer be identified by asking, so Karin has to sense their chakra to see if Jugo is among them. Upon defeat, like the first nameless curse mark user, these people also appear to go back to their base forms, and at least one of them regains the ability to speak.
You can laugh with it, you can rap with it, like some scented candles, you can take a bath in it.
Hey, we had to have a moment, right? Come on now. Don't fucking judge
call
me.
Sasuke strong. But obviously, since they can't fully control their CM2 form, they are all going at the bottom of the list. If I was going to honorable mention Jugo, his placement would likely be here, as weird as it sounds, but don't worry and don't get mad. Jugo is getting 2 honorable mentions. This is the first one, since he's unable to use his curse mark up to a certain point without giving into full rage mode. So this honorable mention spot will be quote unquote nice guy Jugo. This Jugo is actually pretty skilled with the curse mark or sage transformation, and the fact that he can do partial transformations may be a solid argument to put him above the people I have next on the list, but the fact that he can't maintain his sanity when going into CM2 makes me feel like CM2 is harder thing to pull off than a partial transformation.
Exactly.
Next on the list we have all of the Sound 4. I attempted to find
the Sound 4 over Jugo, interesting.
And their skill with the curse mark, but it seems not only are they all relative in terms of skill with the curse mark, but when they actually activate their second stages as well. The Sound 4 aren't all that strong relative to the higher tiers or even mid tiers in part 1, considering that they had to go all out to beat 2 out of chakra Tokubetsu. So they should scale virtually below every other Jonin and Konoha, and they're
he's not wrong.
Chunin level.
Now that's a little weird though to put them over Jugo. I don't know about all that, because you know, if he's doing it like on performance of utilizing the curse mark, then that's understandable. But if he's doing it like in power wise of who would beat who, then hell no. You know what I mean? Jugo's way above and beyond them. Like this motherfucker was, you know, contesting people like Heavy Sasuke, the third, you know what I mean, the 4th Raikage, you know, Killer Bee, you name it. You know what I mean? Like, come on now, you know? While these guys wouldn't even stand a fucking chance. So
realistic, but still extremely strong combatants for Naruto and the rest of Team Shikamaru. The Sound 4 are completely in control of their curse marks, not to the point that they could do partial transformations, but at least to the point that they don't go completely insane. This is likely due to them taking part in the suspended death ritual that they put Sasuke in to help him control his curse mark. Prior to going into the barrel, we see activating his curse mark against the Sound 4 and Konoha, Sasuke is visibly trembling on panel. Next on the list is Sasuke and Kimimaru. There is a direct statement from Jugo comparing these two in terms of skill with the curse mark, where he says that Sasuke is the best copycat he's seen since Kimimaru. While this does not inherently mean the two of them are equal in skill, it's the best we get when it comes to comparing them. Outside of this, they have no better statement saying one can control the curse mark better than the other, or any better showings with the curse mark. I was almost tempted to put Kimimaru a place higher than Sasuke, just due to Kimimaru likely being stronger than him at full power, but I figured that wouldn't really matter anyway, and I could simply put them right next to each other. You could also get the idea that as Kimimaru's body regresses, or as he gets sicker, he gets worse at controlling his curse mark as well. Since he never did a partial curse mark 2 transformation against Gaara and Rock Lee, but then at the same time, you could make the argument that there was never a point in time in which it was useful to do so, so using it would have just been a waste of time. Above those two is where I would put Angry Man Jugo, who has complete control over himself in CN2. He can do weird chakra cannons with his transformations or make shields out of his skin. He's got all the things Jugo has, but he's just plus more. Then last is where I would put Kabuto. who, although he doesn't have a curse mark, is able to utilize them to make himself stronger in the war arc when he uses Anko's curse mark to strengthen his hold on the Edo Tensei shinobi, as well as him using Jugo's Kekkei Genkai as a way to constantly flood himself with nature energy so that he never exits Sage mode.
Which
I
is
think those are
insane.
valid reasons to maybe put Kabuto #1 on this list, but I'm leaving him as an honorable mention since he doesn't directly use the curse mark, he just happens to siphon his strength off of the others. But that's it for the video.
True.
If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, as I did put a lot of work into it, so I would appreciate.
Yeah, I could tell he really did. You definitely get a like from me, Mr. Six. But yeah, no, like, by all freaking means, just spit nothing but facts. Another incredible 6x6. Incredible 6x6. Incredible fucking video by 6. That's how you know I've been doing too much recordings, guys. But no, really, really great job. Like, at the end of the day, the curse mark's no fucking joke. You know what I mean? And when it really comes down to it as a concept in Naruto, it's very complex. It can be pretty mysterious and weird. But when you really kind of like look into it, it's really not that complicated. And overall, trying to get my cat out of the way because I'm being a dickhead. And overall, like, it's just, you know, it's pretty crazy, you know what I mean? And then when you analyze all the characters that are utilized in and whatnot, it is unique. It's really cool, you know, and, you know, then you obviously have from the bottom of the food chain all the way to the top that he clearly showed. And then basically, if you're analyzing them from, like, how they use it in performance-wise and all that, that's a whole other thing. You know, for instance, like, if we did a competition, like, of who utilized the Rinnegan to the best amount of peak performance, I would definitely give that to Nagato in comparison with, like, Obito or Madara and etc., you know? But then if we're talking about, like, who's the most powerful with, like, the Rinnegan and all that, obviously, you know, come on now, you should know, you know. So, but anyways, you know, so other than that, guys, you know, we're going to basically leave that video there. That's going to be the conclusion of this. If you guys enjoyed the video so far, make sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about the curse mark. If there's anything else that really stands out to you, anything that you think a lot of people just don't really know about, just let me know in the comments. Who do you think is the strongest curse mark user? Or better yet, the one that used it to the best, you know what I mean, as well. I'm curious on what you want to say on that. And as always, subscribe for more content. Subscribe if you guys love the channel. See you in the next video. Peace.